I give the word to you.
Thank you so
And
much,
here we
Monica.
go.
Once again, hello everyone. It's absolute pleasure to be back in Cocktail Spirits at the Campari Academy. And I would really love to talk about my bumpy journey that occurred, as probably many of us, as I was talking to many during the show, as the pandemic wasn't nice to us. And unfortunately, that was my journey. But the most important, what I really like to talk about is the guest experience still matter. Does it really matter? Yes, indeed, because that's what we do. That's what our industry is all about. Like, we opening bars, we opening restaurants, we opening concepts, we opening various venues. But what is the call? What is the grow behind it? So, by my background, been working in industry about 20 plus years. Before I opened my own bar, was about 12 years in five-star hotels such as Kwānt, Savoy, Sanderson Hotel, and I think that was really that indicated in my brain that's what's really matter, to bring the guest or get the guest into the bar and making sure that it's not just the middle part when it's the drinking experience is the important one, but the arrival, the beginning, when the guests, how they are treated, and how we are listening to those guests, because often we never think about that, how the guest journey was to get into the bar. I remember when I was at the Savoy, and when we reopened, we had about 1 hour 30 minutes a queue to get into the bar, and there were people just queuing there to wait to have a drink at the bar. So now, as looking back, I'm start thinking, what a dedication of that guest was to come in and spending their money with us. And at that time, I wasn't thinking that deep, that how much that means to that guest to come to our bar. And I should be probably now more focused on that topic and that element of a guest is waiting there outside and not leaving, but still waiting and wants to come and experience that. And it's been still waiting, and now we rush to get the guest in, because obviously the queue was always endless, to make sure that experience starts great at the beginning, as the cocktails could be good at the Savoy, but also ends as well. So that was really the thing that I started sometimes often thinking more than about the cocktails, because obviously cocktails are great tools, they're a great part of the experience. It keeps us, our brain going to be more creative and more focused on what we do. But at the end of the day, it's all about the experience that really, really matter. So working in these establishments, I really took the journey and become my own victim of my own dreams. And I still call myself a bartender, but it was the big dream to open my own bar. So 2018, I left Savoy, and that was the day I said to myself, or years before actually, once I leave Savoy, I won't work anywhere else unless it's going to be my own bar. So it took about a year, that 2019, when we launched a Kwānt. And a Kwānt was a basement cocktail bar just on the Moroccan restaurant, which has been there for about 23 years, central London. And as you could imagine, or you can see, it was very intimate, very cozy, and I was still very much infected by that hotel mindset. So I almost wanted to create a cocktail bar or cocktail experience with as you would be in a hotel, but without having rooms and paying that hefty price for those drinks. So it was really about this service, obviously the creativity, the hand-cut glassware, bespokely designed for us, focusing a lot on the ingredients, focusing a lot on the techniques, but in the same time not shooting the prices so high that it's really just make it almost unaffordable. When you look into that, it's like, hold on a second, we know what's the value of XYZ spirits and the ingredients, why are we just charging so much? Because we're putting nuts and olives into that, that's really experience. That not really it is. It's all about being more human and really focus on the guest needs. And that was the moment when, until then, I was reading guest reviews, and I was laughing about them. I never took them seriously, because often I've seen that some reviews, they were just made to upset the guest. But then I went back And then I was like, hold on a second, if someone sit down and write you a review on the Google Maps or any platform, there must be something behind it. There must be a reason. Obviously, when the person is at home, maybe a little bit having more few gin and tonics than he should have, and he's still in that heat and write something down, not everything is as accurate as it was, but there is element that is a true story that really happened to that guest that didn't go well. And then I started becoming fascinated by these reviews, and I started them reading more and more and tried to take them as another tool to learn that how I can improve this. Because obviously there are some people that would just write it because they are just bored and they find it interesting, but there were some people who were very genuine and the feedback was very constructive, and I really found it that this is exactly what it should be about. And back to this, my little journey at Kwānt. So we opened it in 2019. It lasted a year and so. And a lot of people asking, what was it all about? It was very unusual, almost old-fashioned. But that was the key. That was the point, that you were walking downstairs. We were never a speakeasy. We never went to be a speakeasy. We just never had a sign outside, because once you're opening your own bar, you have a million things on your mind. And I never had on my mind that maybe I should put a sign out there. It was on my list to do, but there was many other things I wanted to focus on. So we ended up not having any sign. And then I found this is interesting, because I was building a members club without paying a membership. Because if you didn't know the bar, or didn't know the place, you just would pass by. Because it was in a basement, low ceiling, no windows. Not much on a social media apart from one Instagram account, and that was pretty much it, where we were just putting cocktails and some images of the bar. And then I found that this is very cool. It worked very, very well. Sometimes it was against our favors, because there were days where we were not very busy, but there were days we were super busy. So it really created amazing ambience, that the bar had something very charming and very unusual. Hence, I really wanted to more look into that name and the meaning of the name and deliver it in a way how we were serving. And the way I decided to set up the bar, because the capacity of the bar was about 90 guests, I reduced it to 55, because what I really wanted to do is create more than just an experience, more than just someone to hand over a drink and milk the cash out from those guests. So I thought, okay, we are not a hotel bar, but one of the standards will be, if you want to have a drink at Kwānt, you have to have a table. You have to have a seat, and you have to enjoy it properly, rather than just standing in a corner, squeezed like a sardines. And what's the point of me spending so much time on creating the cocktail, on the decoration, and all those elements, and you're just ending up in a corner? And I guess, and the staff is not even able to properly explain you the drink because we are too busy, we are overpacked. So that was the rule number one, was always table seats. So when the first pandemic came, which was like table service only, I was like, fine, that works for me. So let's make my life even easier, because now everyone has to do it this way. So I don't even have to tell anymore to the guest. But then there was a second pandemic, second wave, and that's becoming very, very hard to us. And the long story short was that the Momo restaurant that has been there 23 years, unfortunately, couldn't make it through, because they just signed for the new lease. And once they sign for the new lease, then what do? You want to invest, you want to make up this bar, you want to make up the restaurant. So they invested £1.9 million for the renovation 9 months before pandemic, and that's the worst thing you can do. And that was the victim that it caught us as a Titanic, that we just sank with them, because I was subletting the place, and unfortunately I had to move out. Before that, moving out, we tried to do our best. We tried to do it in the best way as possible to bring elements of style, elegance, and make it in as the most beautiful way as possible. Very minimalistic. I really like the minimalism in the cocktails, because what I really found fascinating for me was to spending a time on the preparation, but to do the presentation as efficient as possible. And then, if I have a time, I'm happy to talk to the guests how we created the XYZ cocktail and how much effort we spent into doing this and doing that. So, for example, all the drinks we were trying to use as a garnish, very minimalistic micro herbs. And all those micro herbs we were actually growing in the bar, in Evergrow system that we were operating by ourselves. All the herbs were planted by ourselves, and we were controlling everything that to making sure that we knew exactly what the plan was, how does it taste like, how would it match with the cocktail, and again reducing all that waste, because only herbs which we would waste would be the garnish. So basically, I would just cut off the leaf from the plants, and I would just place it on a drink, and the rest would just keep on growing until we literally shave that plants. So that was a very cool part of it, and that became kind of our DNA of the bar. That's really wanted to be very minimalistic, but in the same time very sophisticated and really pushing the boundaries. After the COVID, once the COVID really hit us, we had to close down. So I was in Dubai doing another pop-up, got a call that I have to move out because I was subletting the place. So I had no choice, just fly back home, pack all everything in the 5 vans and move everything out from the bar. But I just wouldn't sit back and cry in a pillow, because that's not me. I just was like, what's next, what I can do next year? So, and I took a little holiday, but it wasn't just a holiday sitting by the sea doing nothing, but we took Kwānt to Ibiza, and we call it Kwānt by the Sea. We got a great partnership with the Melia Hotel at Me, that was right on the sea. That actually, this is the bar part, and as I was standing behind the bar, I could see the sea. It's like this was the best that could happen after all that went so wrong. That we spent about actually 6 months. This was the longest pop-up I ever done. If you haven't done it before, trust me, go for it. It's amazing. It's something that you can adapt into a business model. That's how to do it. That when I'm watching the guys like René Redzepi from Noma, that he goes with the whole entire team and he spends months in Tokyo or in Mexico. I said, like, this is something what we should do as well. In the long term, it's amazing to do a pop-up for 1, 2, 3 days, but something to do in the long term is like you really blending into a local team of the hotel and try to do something together. So exchanging information, exchanging ideas, but you still carry your brand. So we were still under our flagship, our brand, and we run there for the whole entire summer. And while I was there, with my feet and legs and a head, back on my mind, I was already planning the London, because there's a site in London that I was passing every single time, and that was the place where I figured out that this could be the new Kwānt, new home, and I just approached the guys and offered me the place. So the place was signed last year, and I think that was the moment where I done my first mistake. And first mistake was not having a project manager, and that was the biggest thing that I would recommend to have if you wanna do something own. And as an individual, we are all human beings. We are not capable to do everything and anything, because if you can do that, you're probably in a different universe. And I realized that I'm still a bartender, a sort of operator, but in the same time, there are lots of requirements that it's absolutely nothing to do with the cocktails, nothing to do with measurements or alcohol and a history, but the legal parts. And the legal part is something that's really, really matter, because without having the legal parts done properly, you get nowhere. You have absolutely no idea. And then I realized that why we are not renovating. Like, I'm paying for a designer, I have the constructors, I've got the lease signed, and we're not renovating. And so I'm start chasing people. It's like, I'm going back to the site and it's still an empty room, and it's like, guys, I want to see something here. And it's like, do you have an alteration license? It's like, what? Alteration license. It's like, what is that? It's like, you know that you start a renovation, you need to have a license. It's like, oh, really? So like, how do I get one? So you need to present everything what you want to do here. So again, I started chasing each and every one of them, because the landlord, it's in a historical building from 1920s. In fact, Citroën was there as a headquarter back in 30s. So it's a beautiful corner building that it's been obviously protected than many old historical buildings, and I couldn't do anything there until I had this license. So I couldn't even make a hole in the wall. So I started working on that super intensively, and that was the moment that in January I thought to myself, I'm not going to have another drink until I open this bar. I thought it's going to take another 2-3 months. I end up not drinking for 5.5 months. And I still haven't had a dry martini. Thanks, mate. appreciate that. Is this a dry martini? No? What? Ah, damn it. They really don't want to make me a drink a martini here. So, after 5.5 months, I really got to the point, and it was actually 2 days ago when I reopened the bar without telling anything to anybody, because it was a very, very long journey, and obviously to open a bar, as some of you can imagine, it's not an easy journey. If it's not the Wi-Fi connection, it's suddenly your air conditioning. If it's not your air conditioning, it's your till system. If it's not your till system, it's your refrigerator, and so on, so on, so on. So I was just going around and just like started writing things down, like what should need to be fixed. So I became a fixer. But it was all good. I really taking it as a great journey, great experience, and I'm really basing on this presentation because last 2 days I spent probably 2 hours a day with my wife and the kids, and 14 in a bar with my bar team. So this is the new Kwānt that I'm taking it from I would say it's almost like taking you on a new holiday. If you've been to an old Kwānt, you would probably recognize it by the artwork, but this is a different artwork. It's a proper Polynesian artwork that's painted by hand by a friend of mine. I was doing a military service with 25 years ago, and really try to use the space as much as possible, because we went from low ceiling, no windows, ground floor to basement, to a ground floor, high ceiling and massive windows. So really try to use that. And as you can see, still half a row, because we're still missing a blinds there, because you can't do everything at once, because I figure out every window is different measures. So I had to do the made to measure blinds plus the plans. And most importantly is the place where we work, where we create. So I kind of changed the elements of the bar. That I'm no longer calling it a counter, because I wanted to really break the barrier between the guests and the host. So it's completely open island bar that you can sit from the front but also from the behind, and it's everything is pretty much open plan, that as the bartenders can see the guests, what they're drinking, what they're having, the guests can see what the bartender is doing. And that was really wanted to do as a connection and make the bartenders more free and more kind of being locked behind the bar, but being more free to be connected closer to the guests. So one of the steps of service I really wanted to introduce is that the bartender, as he finishes his drink, is not standing there and waiting for the server to grab the drinks, but the bartender has no barriers. He's just completely standing around the island bar, that he can take the drinks and go straight to the table and explain, and vice versa. So it's pretty much, I was watching the last 2 days that the guests were more coming into the bar, coming around the bar, and really had this experience that you probably normally would have it when you have an open plan kitchen at home, because if you are at a bar, you have your seat, you're sitting, but still I'm still applying that standard of service that it's really about, you have your table, you have your seat, that's where you be served, but you're more than welcome to come around and see what we do and how we do. So as I mentioned, we opened just 48 hours ago, so it's still a baby with a hence I'm here only for a couple of hours, because after this presentation probably I say hi to a few friends and I'm running back to the bar basically before I see my wife. So I won't really tell her that part, but anyway, so this is a Kwānt number 2. It's back again on the map. I'm very pleased that I could have done it and couldn't do it without any other support. But really the thought about that was, when I was thinking to do this, I thought to myself, I will take a little bit of more time to make sure that I do something that when a guest comes in, has that experience that you were not experienced from the bar as you would normally do. So it's really about bringing the guest more into, let's say, a liquid fine dining rather than just having a drink. Because again, what we are trying to achieve here is, back in the days we were just making drinks for fun, now we're making drinks to experience. yesterday I had a guest, for example, that it turned quite funny conversation because he was sitting on a bar and he goes, "Now I'd like you to make me the best Long Island iced tea." And I goes, "After having 5 drinks, how I'm gonna get out from this?" It's like, there must be a way. And back of my head I was like, I don't even remember when I made my last Long Island iced tea. But I have all the ingredients, but do I really want to make a Long Island iced tea? No, I'm not. So how I turn it into a guest experience? So I just went to him very slowly and politely and was like, "So Long Island iced tea, and what do you like about it?" It's like, "Yeah, I like the Coca-Cola." And when he thought Coca-Cola, I was like, "Oh my God, I know exactly what I want to do all of a sudden." It's like, "Okay, what else?" "Yeah, you know, all the spice, all the booze and the citrus element." I was like, "What I can do for you here is not a Long Island iced tea, but I can make you an amazing vintage Cuba Libre. How about that?" Because I have an amazing collection of vintage rums that goes back to 1920s. And he just looked at me and was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "I'm 100% sure. If you are ready for it, I'm happy to crack this bottle of 1960s rum and make you an amazing Cuba Libre. How about that? Let's do it." So I was like, "Thank you very much." Couldn't think of best way to get out from it. And then I thought about that. This is the way how sometimes you need to kind of reading between the lines and thinking how you can get away from it without just like telling off the guests as like, "No, I'm not going to do this." And where does it go? And then I was just saying, day before, I was telling the whole members of staff, "Guys, remember when you say, no, we cannot do that, you have to offer an alternative." So what's the alternative from Long Island iced tea? Took me a while, but then I just kind of thought, okay, maybe the Cuba Libre could work, and do the better experience is the vintage rum to use. But it's really about to just, in the right time, use the right thinking and take it to the right direction that you feel confident enough, because obviously that Cuba Libre didn't cost £10.50. But still, it wasn't a conflict of price there, so I was very pleased on that part. But in the same time, I thought I couldn't do it any better way, because I didn't say no to the guests, and I offered the alternative. And this is exactly what I was trying to demonstrate the whole team members, that the guest experience is about still staying on the line with the guest, satisfying their needs, and sometimes just to find alternatives. And that was my alternative. I really wish I will have more of these kind of stories, but as I said, the bar is only 48 hours old, so it's a lot to do, a lot of work to be done there. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop me here, and I'm happy to answer.
Well, I have a question.
I just need to grab that one, right?
Yes, that's true. I forgot that you can't actually hear me. All right. There we go.
Loud and clear.
So I have a question, and, well, I have many questions.
Okay.
But I will start with this. So I've had the pleasure of obviously both knowing you personally, but also I've worked with you several times.
Yeah.
And you have something that is very unique. So I'm pretty sure that you could have sold anything to anyone. But what if you are someone who doesn't necessarily have this natural connection to other individuals? How do you teach this to your team? Because they also need to be able to replicate
Absolutely.
that in their way.
Exactly. I think it's very personal. It's absolutely personal to each and individuals. What are those strengths where you feel confident? But I always say you feel confident, but not overconfident, because once you become overconfident, that's when things can become a little bit not very acceptable, and a lot of people might just find it even offensive. So it's very personal. So it's really about how you approach the guests. And I always saying you need to listen to every single word the guest says, because more you listen, more information you gain, more your brain can work on the subject of how I can deal with this individual, how I can approach this in which angle and what skills to use in order to not to offend that guest but satisfy him. So it's really personal. I completely agree on that, but it's all about listening to the guest and just really being there and try to think out of the box, because that's what I've done. I never done this before, what I just done about that Cuba Libre thing, and I just thought, I give it a go. I've got nothing to lose, and I told them straight away after, I was like, I'm not expecting you now. If someone walks in, don't like a gin and tonic, you do, oh, fancy a vintage Negroni for £900? Obviously not, that wouldn't work. So it's really about being yourself, find your strength, and try to find a way how you can do it in the best way that you feel confident.
And do you think that, for example, right now in the UK, we are having a big crisis in terms of staffing, because
Yes.
you know, the next new generation, they don't want to go into service, they don't want to be in hospitality. So how can we get them excited about hospitality and see the potential of this career, in your opinion?
Yeah, this is what it's really bothering me a lot, because when I came to UK, I had difficulties to find the job, not because there were not, because there were too many there, too many great bartenders, and if you wanted to get a job, you had to fully speak English, had a previous experience. For example, when I started working in my first hotel bar, if I didn't have a previous hotel bar experience, I would never get a job. Because I knew Giuseppe Gallo, that's how I sneak into the Sanderson Hotel. That was only one way. But right now I think to give them a motivation, it's have the good work balance and showing them that what do you want to get out from this work? Is this something you're doing just for short term? Then probably this is not where you get too far, but do you see yourself as a bartender, maybe manager, and you want to be the bar owner? Then you need to kind of dedicate your time, you need to dedicate your energy into this, and really kind of wait for the moment, because no one become a world champion or a bartender, a star bartender owner overnight. So if you want to get there, it's a journey. So you need to be patient, you need to follow what your leaders are doing and how they're doing, and learn, get the best out of them, and try to use it in the best way possible, which is beneficial for you, that's push you forward and make you being a better bartender. And I think it's about the mindset as well, because now we face bartenders don't want to work weekends, bartenders don't want to work late hours, bartenders want to have so many royalties, which when we were starting as a bartenders, we never even thought about that, hey, I just want to work Monday to Friday, I want to play football over the weekend. So it's really about them to put themselves in the right mindset and motivate them in various ways, that I don't want to be the bartender who will be doing all the guest shifts around the world and they will be just working in my bar. I want to bring them with me. I want them to have the same experience what I would have, and I think and I hope that could be one of the motivation of it's about a team rather than one person who really gets that, and they just workers rather than part of the team. So get them involved in many levels and into many activities where we're all part of it rather than just always one individual.
And speaking of team, how big is your team now?
Team-wise, we are seven people, and really I did exactly the same as in the first Kwānt. When I sat down for an interview, my first question was, are you okay to work on the floor as well as behind the bar? If the answer is yes, we can carry on an interview, because if you say, no, I want to be just a bartender, this place is not for you, because I'm not hiring a waitress or waiter, I'm hiring an individual talent who is capable to do both equally. So I want them to be Monday, Tuesday, let's say behind the bar, Tuesday, Wednesday on the floor, Friday on the door, Saturday at the back. And everyone agreed and we all rotate. So one day you will see me at the door, other day I'll be polishing your glasses.
So 6-day operation?
Oh, well, I'll just give it an example,
okay,
but we do 5+2, so 5 days work, 2 days off, but the bar will be, at the moment, the plan is operate 7 days.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, I know. I'm pushing.
And how many seats now?
We applied for 48, but when our health officer came, he just looked like, you have 2 doors, big doors. Is 60 okay for you? I'm taking it. I had furniture for 60 already. So yeah, we have 60 seats.
That's amazing. I feel your pain with the licensing, by
Yeah,
the way,
fine.
because
Exactly
the
the
license
same.
to alteration almost killed us as well. So,
There we go.
Yes. So, how much of the old Kwānt is in the new Kwānt? I see some things, and I see a lot of you as well, but
Yep.
is there a natural progression?
It is, because what I really didn't want to do is just like copy and paste of everything what you see in there, because it just wouldn't work. And then I've seen so many places that I went around to a restaurant which has 6 different chains, more than 6, but I went to 6 in 6 different countries and 3 continents, and none of them were absolutely exactly the same. They had a DNA, they had the name, but if someone bring me there and just open my eyes, I was like, can you guess where are you? I would never guess that I'm in exactly the same place. And I wanted to do the same thing here, just like, I called it Kwānt because I started it in the same way. I had this already, the DNA and association with me, but I really wanted to take it into some new journey that's when it comes to the experience, and there's more food element as well. Because before it was all the club license, so I I didn't have to serve a food. So right now I'm very fortunate that I've got a chef, former sous chef of Fat Duck, Jason Atherton. He worked at Q in Australia, so he's bringing his skills to the game. That's really competing, and often I've been told you really better push your skills, because what we tasted so far, it's incredibly amazing. And small snacks, that's the idea, to bring in small snacks menu. That's something that you can enjoy without being overwhelmed by the lot of food, but you have to have a little bit because of our license.
And I think I did actually see some pictures on Instagram of the food, and it looked delicious. And do you think that you will see more of this breaking down the barrier between bar and kitchen, and restaurant and bar in a wider sense?
I think so, because I think it's the best experience. When I go out personally, I really like to have my martini or Negroni or glass of champagne, but I always like to nibble something. Like when I went last time to your place, we just wanted to there for a drink before our dinner, and we ended up eating there as well. So it was completely, for me, it's super natural, and that's how I like to enjoy a bar experience, because it's about both, and that's how you last even longer through the night, because drinking on an empty stomach, it's never a good idea.
I agree. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, we like questions.
First of all, congratulations on your bar. It looks amazing. I hope I can go in next time I'm in London. And I guess my question is, you talk a lot about amazing experiences for your guests. What's your strategy for promoting these experiences and make sure people come through your door? There's a lot of great bars in London.
Yes.
And I guess, follow-up question, do you now have a sign or still no sign?
There is a sign, yes. It's already on. We have actually light on it as well, so it's automatically gone when we open the doors. And how I'm integrating it, it's a lot about sharing the information with the team, because I try to always compare running a bar. It's just being a football coach and you have 11 players. You can't win a championship with one Ronaldo. You need another 10 players to get there, and that's how I see it. It's a lot of coaching with 2 other members of staff to get into the same mindset as you are, as I want to be, or sharing my wealth of experiences that this is how I imagine this bar should be operating, and doing those little details when the guest's walking in and you see 6 bags. You don't want to let that guest carry those bags all the way to the table, because we are not a shopping mall. So I have a cloakroom by the entrance, so that's the first in when everyone needs to watch when the guests coming in with the bags, assistants with that, and that's where start building up the whole experience to little steps that try to do organically, very naturally and seamlessly, that really turn turn your visit into experience rather than just like, okay, I walk into a bar, they serve me a drink, it was okay, I'm not sure if I want to come back. But moment you start from the greeting to coming to the table, chair assistants, which was always on my forehead when I was at the Savoy, the chair assistants, pulling out the chair and then pushing it back, and so on. Little details such as really can change the whole experience.
And we have a question from Jeffrey from Balderdash in
Hi, brother.
Copenhagen.
Yes. Hello.
Hello, brother.
I have my question is like, there's very few people in the world can travel around and enjoy and express themselves, right? But why go back to London and reopen again, even after COVID? You know, why would you why'd you deal with all the headache of a brick and mortar? You know what I mean?
I know.
I would like to have your personal and your business.
Yeah.
Point of
So
view.
I think even I'm so skinny, deep inside I'm a fighter. I'm not a loser. I don't just give up on events or opportunities as such. And when I came to London, I really found the city fascinating in terms of opportunities, because I came to the country or to the city without speaking English, brushing the floor, and 20 years later having an opportunity to open my own bar, and I did it in one city in a 20 years or 14 years run, but why not? And when I started working at the Kwānt, I became very familiar with the area. Then I left the area, went to Savoy, to Westminster, but I always felt that Mayfair is the place I want to be. So more than 8 years, I was thinking I want to open a bar in Mayfair. So it took me nearly 10 years of carrying that idea in my head, that the dream come true. And why after all those events? Because I always look forward rather than backwards. Like, okay, first time didn't work out, but it can't get worse. Nobody chopped my arms. You know, money comes and goes, and obviously in a healthy way, that not to ruin someone's bank accounts and become enemies for life. That's not how we are. That's not how I do. Even with my past business partner, I'm still communicating. We are in a good terms, and this is how I want to see it in the future as well. So for me, London is it's a great city, and I just wanted to give it a go. And when I see the site, I already see the whole image of the bar. It's a corner building. I always wanted to have a corner building. It has a massive windows. I always wanted to have a day bar that I can have a daylight. So it's like it ticks so many boxes, and to let it go would be probably the biggest missed opportunity. So I said I'm gonna give it a go to this one.
All right, and then one more question.
Yep.
Hi, Erik. Back to your idea of guest experience and your strategy to achieve it, your approach to it. Do you think it evolved from when you started in the business to now? And if it did, how?
Yes, I hope so. It evolved, because constantly trying to push the boundaries and trying to really make that guest experience better than before, rather than get satisfied with, oh, that was a happy guest, fine. But the guest can come back and can have a very bad day. And it could be the guest who was there once before the bar was very happy, and now I just can't rely on that. No, last time I served him was absolutely fine. It's about always being there like a soldier and listening between the lines and seeing that guest needs what is exactly needed right now. And it's always just paying attention. So one of the big things is to be at work, is to be at focused. Leave the emotion at home, because when you're at work, you need to focus on that. And when you're emotionally disbalanced, that's when you stop paying attention to emotions to your guests, because the emotions to our guests are the indicators from me to which direction to take and how to deal with the particular guest.
Thank you so much, Erik. And unfortunately, the overall Campari vision for cocktails and spirit this year did not align with our wish to drink a martini. So we have Negroni, rum, we have Campari, we have a lot of things. So I thought, to celebrate, why don't we do champagne?
Oh my God, no way. You really did it. No. I'm just making my hands empty and available.
I was just you know, there's a history in spring champagne in our circle. So
That's it.
I was gonna not
There
do
is,
that.
and you said that, and I thought, okay, maybe we just go out and we just have a glass, but no, amazing. You're amazing. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Wow. To you guys.
You have it?
And I really thought that would be like a tasting session. I've seen those glasses there. Okay, maybe another session. Here we go.
So please enjoy some champagne and leave the headphones there, please. Thank you.
I'll help you out. There we go. Here we go, madam. There we go. Voila.
And congratulations.
Amazing.
Thanks. One more. There we go.
Are we still on the live stream?
Yeah.
We are still on the live stream. So let's say cheers, everyone. And, well, I'm borrowing this one. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Erik.
Monica.
And
Thanks,
cheers for
everyone.
Kwānt.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
And for the first day of cocktails and spirit.
Oh la la.
And there he comes. Here you go. Okay, so for everyone home, we are going back online tomorrow at 1. For now, we say thank you so much to everyone that turned in. We will leave you.